The earliest land plants were successful due to the evolution of several key adaptations that helped them meet the new challenges due to lack of water. Roots or root-like structures anchor plants. Later in land plant evolution, roots helped absorb water and nutrients from soil. A cross-section of a root from this plant shows fine root hairs that increase the root's surface area and facilitate the uptake of water. A waxy cuticle covers the surface of leaves and stems and prevents water loss by evaporation. Special openings called stomata open to allow gas exchange, but can also close to prevent water loss. Because these successful adaptations arose early in land plant evolution, they're still found in virtually all land plants today. The mosses and their relatives, the bryophytes, lack specialized conducting tissues to transport water and nutrients. Consequently, each cell must rely on simple diffusion or poorly developed conducting tissues to acquire nutrients and water. This limits them to living in moist environments. It also limits their body size, as they must maintain a high surface-to-volume ratio. Size is also limited because bryophyte tissues lack lignin, a specialized stiffening agent that provides rigidity to plant tissues. The vascular plants, or tracheophytes, are so named because they have specialized conducting tissues that allow them to transport water and nutrients. These specialized tissues are strengthened by lignin. Together, these adaptations provide two important advantages. Vascular plants can now have specialized roots, allowing them to live in dry environments and obtain water from deep within the soil. Vascular plants can grow tall, both because they have the structural support needed and because individual cells can be supplied with nutrients and water via the conducting tissues. Taller plants have better access to sunlight for photosynthesis, are out of reach of more predators, and may have more efficient seed, pollen, and spore dispersal via wind and animals. All plants have complex life cycles. In one stage, a haploid gametophyte produces haploid gametes that will fuse during fertilization to form a diploid zygote. The diploid zygote will develop into a diploid sporophyte. This stage produces haploid spores. Ultimately, the haploid spores produce gametophytes, and the cycle begins again. The diagram compares some key stages in the life cycles of mosses and ferns. Although many features of the life cycles differ between bryophytes and ferns, they have several important features in common. First, the haploid gametophytes of both groups have specialized structures that produce haploid gametes via mitosis. The archegonia produce eggs and the antheridia produce sperm. Second, both groups protect the developing diploid zygote from the environment by keeping the egg inside the protective archegonium. Fertilization and early development of the zygote occur there. Third, both groups have motile sperm that can only reach the archegonia by swimming through a layer of water on the surface of the gametophyte. This means that both groups are restricted to environments that, at least during some part of the year, are very moist. Finally, both bryophytes and ferns use resistant haploid spores as the dispersal stage in the life cycle. Because the spores are resistant to drying, they can be carried long distances, germinating into new gametophytes when they encounter suitable environmental conditions. These diagrams compare key elements of gymnosperm and angiosperm life cycles. The life cycles of seed plants differ from those of seedless plants in many ways. Among the most important is the evolution of the seed, the key dispersal stage. In contrast to mosses and most ferns, seed plants produce separate male and female gametophytes. The female gametophyte remains attached to the parent plant. The male gametophyte is pollen, a resistant structure that can be transported to the female gametophyte by wind, water, or animals. Each pollen grain contains sperm that can fuse with the gametes produced by the female gametophyte. One key adaptation is that unlike the mosses and ferns, the sperm of seed plants do not require water to reach female gametophytes. Seed plants can therefore colonize much drier environments than can ferns and mosses. Another adaptation in the seed plants is the seed itself. The seed consists of the developing plant embryo, a supply of food, and a tough, resistant seed coat. Once the seed is released from the parent plant, the embryo enters a period of dormancy and is protected by the seed coat. The seed may travel a long distance from the parent plant or remain dormant in the soil for years before conditions are suitable for germination. A second adaptation of seed plants is that an embryo can survive harsh environmental conditions for long periods of time and can be used as another specialized dispersal stage. The flowering plants have several unique adaptations that have led them to spectacular success in terrestrial environments. Flowers and fruits are adaptations unique to angiosperms. Flowers help attract animals called pollinators to the plant. As they travel from flower to flower collecting food rewards in the form of nectar and pollen, they also transfer pollen from flower to flower. Pollinators are often very specific about the flowers they visit. This means that plants with flowers reproduce more efficiently because their pollen isn't wasted on plants of the wrong species. Fruits are also devices flowering plants use to obtain cooperation of animals. This time, though, it's for the dispersal of seeds. Fruits are rich energy sources, so they're attractive to animals. Animals eat the fruits, swallow the seeds, and carry the seeds to new locations in their digestive tracts. Many plants are so dependent on specific animal seed dispersers that their seeds can't germinate until their seed coats have been weakened by the activity of a bird's or mammal's digestive system.